All right. Good morning. Good morning. 6:32, May 8th. It is Wednesday. Home day. Take a look at the disclosure. You guys know the drill by now. Before we get to it. All right. All right. Good morning, my dogs. What up? What up? It is 6:32. It is May 8th. It is Wednesday. Hopefully everyone's feeling well. We've had quite a move in the markets, right? Since the post-Fed low Thursday, we've gone almost 18 points in the SPYs, 180 handles. And if you put on top of that where we bought the blood in the street account, my goodness. Anyway, we'll see what kind of pause we get today. We put a little bit of a peak in yesterday, and we'll see how we go from here. But before we get going, let me say hello to some of my dogs around the world. We got Grok in the house. What up, RD? What up to you? What up? It's rising and grinding in Connecticut. We got Nebraska in the house. We got Belmore, Long Island. Hey, my wife's from Merrick. Good morning. What up, Texas? What up, Dakota? What up, Lake Trader? What up, Ali Hassan? All right, everyone's tuning in. Cheers. Anyway, feeling pretty good today. Feeling pretty good. Been 4 days, not saying alcohol free, but 4 days alcohol free. Not that I drink too much, but it's good when you make a little bit of a promise to yourself, like, all right, no drinking, no eating bad from Sunday through Wednesday, and it's a new routine. Try and tighten things up a little bit going into the summer. They say the best promises you can keep are the ones to yourself, right? If you can't keep a promise to yourself, you're not going to like yourself, and that's not good. We got to like each other or ourselves. Anyway, with that being said, let's go to the SPYs. All right, you look here. What a move, right? If you remember, on this day, on April 19th, that Friday on the close, Red Dog put his wife's blood in the street account to work, which is an intermediate account that some of you guys also, put equity to work or risk on, into an extreme. We were down almost 5.5% off the highs. And P.S., look where we are as of yesterday. This was post-Fed when the active bulls took a stand, and all of a sudden, here we are at 518.57, kind of flattish today. We'll see, do we have an inside day, or do we actually break 516.45 to see 515 and maybe even a little bit lower? We shall see. All the moving averages are down here. The oscillator hit plus 60. We were minus 60 down there. So at plus 60, you got to be a little careful taking on a few new positions actively. So maybe we digest a day or two, but chances are, it feels like we're going higher. Lots of participation across the board. If you go to Qs, if you guys remember yesterday, I did point out this 442 area as a potential resistance area. We've come a long way. Remember this red dog reversal in the Qs, which was right here post-Fed. Didn't know what was going to happen. And then PS reclaimed 420. That's when a lot of the high bet, mega cap tech started to repair. I got put on some longs, and PS big gap up, a little bit of follow through into resistance, and now we are a little bit extended. So it wouldn't be the end of the world if we can come in a little bit, but obviously at this point, so far we're flattish. So just adjust your size accordingly. And what up, Yanaz? What up, space specialist? So as far as looking, Jose from Caracas. So as far as I try and give you the pecking order of the mega cap tech and what looks good and where the setups are. And there was a lot of good setups, and they were all different. Just real quickly, Meta filled the gap. Look at that, just like that. Look how clean that was. There was a gap here that I took away. Remember this thing? Remember this was down to here? Well, that's gone. That trade's done. It's up 5 days in a row. No longer a good setup. Now we got to see if it goes sideways to see if we set up again. Netflix also, look at that. There was, a gap below and a gap above. What did it decide to do? It decided to clear 560 and fill that gap. So a lot of people made really good money in Netflix and Meta. Hopefully, you took that trade, and if you didn't, there'll always be more. As far as other names, I still think Amazon is in the game of being above 190 this week. It's just funny the way Amazon is. It's got to have a big move into an area. So then sometimes after a big move, it's hard to get through that area. I know it kissed it yesterday. Now I would think, a little sideways action here. And then next time it wants to get above this 189.44 or 189.77, we're going to be trading, 192 to 194. But that's just a thought. But anyway, nice. As far as Google's concerned, Google, a lot of guys remember this gap, came in and then all of a sudden gave you this to trade against. Now it's worked higher. Into this spot, we were buying some 170 calls. It was a big call sweeper that one of the guys from the Alpha team flagged. So PS, I bought some options. I bought the stock. I'm still in the stock. Might need a day to rest, but overall, you can't be upset about these type of technical setups as long as you do your homework and you execute on them. As far as NVIDIA yesterday, not the end of the world. Little inside day overall. Everyone was, oh my God, Apple's getting into AI server chips. Well, NVIDIA's got quite the head start. So at this point, it needed a day off anyway. So now this low here is 890, which is what I did say yesterday. I'm like, I'd like it to hold a little bit above it, but chances are if it holds in here and digests, not the end of the world. Today, NVIDIA is, what is it, probably down like 2 or 3. It's down 2. So I would think perhaps, it's going to hang in here for another day or so. So you don't want to overtrade it, but if it can hold here, go sideways, chances are, the next time it wants to get through 922, it'll have a better time. But from Thursday at 832 to 922, have realistic expectations out there needed to digest. So if you want to let it go sideways, maybe it goes. And if maybe you want to play it from right to green, you can make a little bit of cash flow. But I would not overtrade it here. AMD hit its little resistance into the downtrend that we kind of talked about. So you have like caddy corner, red dog reversal. This was a red dog reversal at 142, and then here it got above and came back below, and now we'll see what happens next. So lots of different types of trades. If you're not complaining, if you're not upset, if you're not looking at the TV set and whatever it is that you do, we don't try to do it, right, Marco? We try and work on a process. We try and work on a plan. We try and make sure that our mind is at ease, so this way you could see what happens when it happens, and you could execute with confidence, right? That's what we do. As far as Palantir, didn't work. I had actually options on. Thank goodness. Sometimes things have a pre-earnings move. So if like earnings are in something like, let's say like it's Wednesday and earnings are for something that you want to play next Tuesday, sometimes you want to play it a few days prior so it has a move into the earnings date, and then you make the money prior so you're not so worried about post earnings. But anyway, we made really good money in these 2 days, and then I adjusted for a lotto spread that didn't work. But you know what? Risk is premium paid, and now I don't know. It's a big gap above it. We'll see how long it takes to readjust. Some guys like Red Dog, you had a really good call with UNG. Well, it wasn't really my call. I do read a lot of macro notes. Like I'm the chief strategic officer, and I do trade technically for a living, but I have a lot of friends that have been doing on a lot of different areas on Wall Street, and I'm like an aggregator of everything, and I try and put it in all different time frames. And my friend was telling me how at this point natural gas has been obviously obliterated, and that look at the weekly chart of the UNG, thinking that, hey, the risk reward of accumulating this, which we started talking about, I believe, in March, is good for potentially the narrative to change that natural gas is going to be used, to help power AI at some point, and it's a good summer play, and sometimes it happens prior. Great. As far as uranium, URA, a little bit of a topping tail into this big spot, but look at the size of the move. This too, uranium, nuclear energy is something that might get more acceptable also down the road. So there's a lot of good uranium stocks, CCJ, etc. So I just tried to show you, the monthly chart on this maybe being a bigger move of a bigger trend. If you do some research on Amazon, you'll see that Amazon moved right next to a nuclear power plant to use their power for their data centers. So anyway, those are bigger picture things. Sometimes Red Dog could talk more bigger picture than just NVIDIA, Amazon, Google, Apple, Netflix, Goldman, Morgan. Anyway, with that being said, I would think that today is some kind of rest day. Listen, guys, I was a little on edge yesterday, and I apologize, but you guys weren't there. I have to apologize to the Alpha team. So I think I did a pretty damn good job. I was buying, I was putting risk on in here, buying SPY calls. I even had SPY calls here. And then into this move, I started selling a little premium above, the 515s all the way up to the 518s yesterday. So I needed a little bit of a pullback. I was short way too much premium. I did cover 25% of it into this little pullback, so I have a little less risk. And, now if we could pull in a little bit, into this area and still hold and let the moving averages come up, then perhaps, maybe there's a move, back towards highs. I don't think it's going to happen, in the next few weeks, but maybe I would think by sometime over the summer, or maybe the first rate cut in September, we'll be at new highs in the S&P for the year. So, it's better to probably look for good setups and great acting stocks than just shorts in the end of the world. If the end of the world's going to happen, you're not going to know. So you're better off preparing for the future than preparing for the end of the world. Anyway, as far as Bitcoin hit some resistance after a nice little move. I did sell mine. I might be looking to buy some back a little bit, but again, Bitcoin moves. So lately it's been more not say predatory, but it's not as systematic. What do I mean by that? Well, let's open this up. You had this big channel that everyone was playing for a move to the upside, and it broke to the downside. Held channel support, came in the middle, which this is actually was systematic because it came in halfway through, didn't fill this quadrant. So when it triggered lower, it went below the lower end. But then once everyone said, oh, now it's done, it popped right back. So anyway, at this point, we'll see what's going on here. It's really not that compelling. I still have some BITO calls on a little further out. Really, the IBIT was a great buy the dip and sold it into here. So now maybe we'll see what happens. But overall, little things to do. I wouldn't be doing massive things right now. I just showed you the AMD chart. The AMD chart, again, if post earnings, there was a nice little red dog reversal here, and it gave you a 3-day move, I guess you could move this up a little bit. If this can go sideways and maybe hold in this spot and not fall apart like it's done every other, rally up, fall apart, rally up, fall apart, maybe, there's a little bit better action considering it was 228 and now you're talking 155s. But it's been harder to trade. It hasn't been the AMD of last year. Ethereum, you guys could do your own charting on Ethereum. I'm sure it looks a lot like Bitcoin. But I will say Bitcoin and Ethereum are probably the only two cryptos you should be accumulating in an asset allocation plan over time. And I would choose Bitcoin over Ethereum, but that's me. But if you trade actively for a living, you got to use your tier system. You got to use your moving averages. You have to, measure momentum and all that kind of good stuff. What else is people talking about? Silver and gold has been in a corrective phase. If you remember, I did have a big time, play on for silver, and 27 was my target. And that day, I actually called the top. Red Dog called the top, but anyway, who cares? At this point, let it, let it maybe go sideways and rebuild a little bit for what could be a move into this gap. So gap below, gap above. It'll be interesting. What's silver doing today? Silver is down 2 cents. Not a lot going on there. And gold, the same thing. So again, sometimes things are moving and sometimes things are consolidating. So if you could identify those sequences, you won't overtrade, you won't overdo it, and you won't drive yourself a little batty, right? Can I look at ANET? Sure. ANET, I haven't looked at this one in a while. It was something that a lot of traders were playing. It made higher highs. Someone was talking about, did it come out with, I don't know if it came out with earnings. I haven't really been playing this one in a while. Looks decent. If I'd see this how fast you could, as a technician, draw your lines. Seems like it had a gap up that maybe it's going to defend. Let's see what's it doing this morning. ANET, ANET. Oh, it's up 21 points. So I guess it had earnings last night, which I didn't play. So this is what? This is the pivot high here. This is 307. So that would be some resistance. So 307 is up here. Boom, boom, boom. It's above this pivot, which is nice, I guess. So get above and hold above. This is 280-ish. So I guess I would see if you took an options play for earnings. Congratulations. If you think it's going to work its way back towards this resistance area, then then it's got some room. But as of right now, ANET is up 21. So it's above 280, below 307, somewhere in here. Good job. SMCI is kind of like AMD right now. It's just kind of trapped. It's in corrective mode. I would think, if NVIDIA hangs above, 890 for a little bit and rebuilds, and this digests the move from 670 into here, there's a chance that this could take this out. So It could reset up here, SMCI, which wouldn't be the end of the world. I like when SMCI moves, but I trade NVIDIA a little bit more because NVIDIA, basically, NVIDIA trades volume, gives you intraday moves. You could play options, and it's best in breed. This gets tricky. There's like a $3-4 spread at times. You buy it wrong, you're down a few grand. I don't like doing that. So it's got to be kind of perfect. And as for now, what's SMCI doing? SMCI is down 4 at 812. So as long as this holds a 786 and rebuilds, there's a chance that this can continue. And if the market's going to go back to highs, chances are that there's going to be more action here. MSG, you want me to look at MSG? MS 5000, the Knicks, who won game 1, who are playing awesome. Sure. I haven't looked at this in a while. I'm sure it's doing well, considering the Garden's making a ton of money with all the action going on here. I guess last time I looked, there was a big gap here, and it hasn't been above this in a while. So what's MSG doing this morning? How cool is it to see all the 90s Knicks in the house? John Starks, LJ, Larry Houston. Anyway, looks like it doesn't really trade with momentum with big, huge candles, but maybe there's an option play to fill this gap. You have the Rangers doing well, and you have the Knicks, so I'm sure the Garden's making some donuts. You look at the weekly chart too. Oh, look how high this was. Wow, sometimes it's good to look at the weekly chart too. It seems like this could be a good play. I like that idea. Isn't that? Maybe you build this gap right there on MSG. Yeah, Rangers. So interesting. All right, guys, 648. Futures are up 1 or 2 handles. I could see today being a digestive type day. Hopefully, we do a little probing, down 10 handles, up 10 handles, so I can get rid of this friggin' overhedge and let some stocks consolidate and reset up so we could play them to the upside again. But until then, cheers. I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. And, they say if you wake up in the morning, you're ahead of the game. There you go. Have gratitude for the things you have under your feet, not the things you want to look at in the future. For those, you better work your toots off. Later, guys.